My name is Helene Pesci. I served in Cameroon, West Africa, from 79 to 82. The bush taxis are an interesting contraption because it's like a minivan and they cram in lots of people, and then on the roof are your baggage, different foodstuffs, and chickens or goats or whatever a person might be moving with. And it's kind of a real, it's an interesting smell too because of the animals on the bush taxi besides all the people that are, all of us are crammed in together. It's one big family as you travel along. So thank you very much.
My name's Ben Swartley. I was a volunteer from 95 to 99 in Cameroon and the village of Bangam in the Southwest Province. I was an education volunteer there for a while, and then also worked in Limbay for a little bit. Let's see. Interesting story. Always travel with your rapa or your panya because it's invaluable. You can sleep with it, dry off with it, and it protects you from goat pee when the goat on the top of the bus decides to have a break and your window's open. Good advice to everyone.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you.
I'm Martha Whitman. I was in Bamenda, Cameroon from the end of '83 through the beginning of '86. And I actually signed up in country because I'd been in Liberia previously, so I got to Cameroon within a year of leaving Liberia and was able to go to the Peace Corps office, having already gone to some nearby schools and offered to volunteer, and signed up to be a teacher in secondary and teacher training. So I actually enlisted in country. Cameroon, I remember riding on the train up to the northern part, up to Waza, and I remember going all the way to the south for our conferences. It's a huge country with a lot of diversity, and we lived right on the edge of a huge valley with the big mountains behind, and at one point during my service I was treated to a surprise helicopter trip over those mountains, which is something that most Cameroonians don't get to do, but was really special. Another thing we did was go up to Ndu and to one of the lakes that actually flipped and killed a lot of people a few years later. We were there when it seemed quite safe, but just within a year after us leaving, a number of people in the village died when the carbon dioxide came up from the bottom of the lake and basically asphyxiated the town. Actually, Liberia and Cameroon are tied together because my husband was one of my trainers when I was going into Peace Corps Liberia, and I got out of Peace Corps. I finished my 2 years, we got married, and he got a job in Cameroon, so that's how I ended up in Cameroon. So we're still married, we have 2 great kids, and we love to come to Peace Corps reunions like this because we see a lot of people with very similar histories.
My name is Kristen Slanina. I was Kristen Lindsley when I was a volunteer in Cameroon from 1995 to 1998. I was in a little village called Niassissou, which was in the Bokosi Mountains in the Southwest Province. It was very lovely. It was montane forest. I was a math and science teacher there at the local college, and as a secondary project I helped a women's group in a neighboring village acquire funds to start their own business. So that was very fulfilling. I am planning on returning to Niassissou in December, where my husband and I, who is also a volunteer in Niassissou, support a scholarship program that presently supports 20 boys and girls in their school fees for the academic year.
My name is Derek. I was a volunteer in Cameroon from 2006 to 2007, and I transferred from Guinea after finishing my service in Guinea. And so I was a third-year extension in Cameroon, so I didn't have to go through training and I didn't have to learn the language because I already spoke French fairly well. So I was based just outside of Bafoussam, which is in western Cameroon, and I was right on the edge of French and English-speaking Cameroon. Like there's a sort of a border divide, and so I was kind of straddling both worlds in a way. And I did mostly tree planting projects. I saw right away, the first thing I noticed, that there were no moringa trees there, and moringa trees are very common in West Africa, other countries in West Africa, for their medicinal properties and for their nutritional value, and for it's a multiple use tree, and it's called the miracle tree. And I didn't see any in Cameroon growing in people's villages or in people's fields. So I asked why that was, and nobody really knew. So I got a hold of some seed, and I grew a nursery of moringa trees, and I took on the dual purpose of educating the Peace Corps volunteers about the uses of moringa in their villages and in the projects. And I did my own moringa project. And I trained the villagers around me, and kind of went from village to village around my area, and told people about moringa, and gave presentations, and I had little bags of seeds that I would give away, and then I would help them understand more about how to grow the tree and how to use it in their daily lives and what potential the tree had.
Hi, my name is Barry Shapira. I served in Peace Corps Cameroon 2007 to 2009. I was an English teacher and computer science teacher. Well, not really computer science, but computer literacy in a small village in eastern Cameroon called Damaka. So yeah, there's lots of animals around my house: dogs, cats, chickens, goats. And so the goats were just kind of free range, but there were also groups of dogs that were kind of free range roaming around the village. So one time I was back from school, and this kind of like whirlwind ran in the front gate, and it was a goat surrounded by 3 or 4 dogs that were all attacking it. But then our dogs know our goats, and they started fighting with the neighborhood dogs. And then my host mom came out too and started fighting. So there was like a 3-species war going on in the front yard. And I was just standing there, kind of in awe.
Who won?
We did. The goat, the dog, and my mom.
My name is Thrin Albin, and I was also in Peace Corps Cameroon from 2008 to 2010. One of my most memorable Peace Corps moments, I was teaching computers to my Form 2 students, which is the equivalent of 7th grade, and there are 2 classes, and the first class was a perfect Peace Corps, like textbook Peace Corps experience. The students were all raising their hands and answering questions and participating, and it was great. And then I moved to the next classroom for the same lesson with the second group of students, and I went to put my bag on the teacher's table, and the students are all saying, "Madame, Madame," and I sort of look at the table and recoil in slight horror because there's feces smeared all over the teacher's table. And then the students are saying, "Madame, Madame, Madame, someone has shitted the board." And I look up, and sure enough, the chalkboard is covered also in feces. So I tried to continue teaching and just do the lesson orally without writing on the chalkboard. And we're going over, it's the first class back from the holiday break, so we're reviewing the classroom rules, and so I'm asking the students to go through their notebooks and give us the rules. And one student raises his hand. I'm like, "Yes, do you have the next rule?" And he says, "Yes, we should not shit in the classroom."